week and a half goes by. And he phones first thing in the morning. He said, David, it's John. I said, I know, John. I saw your number. That's why I picked it up. I'm not stupid. He goes, I said, how's it going? He says, oh, man, I'm busy. I said, busy? He says, yeah, I sent the resume out like you said. I faxed it. Oh, man, you're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to do it in color. And he says, well, I've had 7 interviews. And this is in a city that he moved to, because after he lost his job, he lost his family too. Unfortunately, his wife left with the kids, moved to another city, and he followed her and didn't know anybody. So no network, no job, well, technically no family. But he got 7 offers in a week and a half. He had 43 phone calls. Because when you get one of these guerrilla resumes, you get a phone call. And there's only 2 phone calls you get. And it's from an employer or recruiter. And the 2 phone calls are, hi, this is David Perry. I got your resume, I think. Can you help me out here? What is this? Of course, it's your resume. And you have a conversation with the employer. Or you get a conversation from, a call from a recruiter goes, listen, I got your stuff. It looks interesting. Can you send me your real resume? Great. Those are the only 2 responses you're going to get. And that's all you want. Because the hardest thing about getting a job is starting the conversation. Because you all know, once you're in an interview, once you've got the interview, you can get the job. It's not that hard. The hard part is connecting and getting into the office and having the face-to-face interview. So that's how all these guerrilla resumes started. Did I forget anything?
No, we want to give you a summary of why they work. First of all, it wasn't invented by some ivory tower academic. It was by some crazed, caffeine-deprived recruiter.
Here he goes.
Who was trying to...
But you got this on camera, right? This is abuse.
Don't focus on me. It was done in the trenches by someone who hires. He just reverse engineered the hiring project. What do people want to look for? Employers, well, they're looking for something that's concise. 1 page we find is a good length because it opens the conversation. You've been told 1 page, 2 page. The more you tell, the more you sell. That has its place. But we have found that 1 page... David,
can I burn the images into their head?
Yeah, I was waiting for this part.
Can you go back 2 slides?
This?
Okay. No offense to anyone in the audience. Please.
But he's about to offend you.
This resume is like a flannel nightgown. If you wear this to bed, you're going to go to sleep. You may not get the attention you're looking for. I'm glad some of the ladies are laughing, okay?
Sometimes
because I get in trouble. Sometimes they don't.
Sometimes they don't.
But this is flannel. You don't get action with flannel.
What are we looking at now?
This is silk lingerie. So we call this resume lingerie. This gets your attention. That's what you want with the employer. You just want to get their attention long enough to wonder, what about, what if? Wonder what the possibilities are.
Good. So back to, so I'm the left brain. Am I the left brain or the right brain?
I can't remember.
Anyway, so I'm the other, yeah. So it was developed by a recruiter. It's 1 page long. Graphics and or logos. We now include logos. It all depends on the person. That's the key. It's like an art and a science. A guerrilla resume has also been described as like brewing beer. There's more than one way to get the desired result. There's no hard and fast rule for everybody. But we find sometimes it's logos from your company. Sometimes it's graphics, like you saw the graphic.
But it's Canadian beer.
It's Canadian.
We have alcohol in it.
So it works, yeah. It could be a graphic, a picture of a trophy you've won or a project you've done. We had a guy in Detroit who was hired. It's always the same. He'd been laid off. He'd been looking 9 months. And he was hired 6 weeks later. He was a former program manager at a company called Chrysler, right? Well, what's the graphic for him? We could have used the Chrysler logo. Instead, he had worked on the Dodge Viper project. So it took me 3 seconds to say, hey, Jeff, candy apple, red Dodge Viper, buddy. And bam, we got it. Google is great for graphics. We found one, put it at the top left-hand corner of his guerrilla resume, and he was off to the races. He had phone calls. He had 2 job offers in 6 weeks. We also include quotes now. This is something that I badgered David into doing. We get them from your LinkedIn profile. We can also get them from letters from clients or managers, performance reviews, military evals, or a target-rich environment for quotes, as you guys would say, because there's always a section at the very end where the evaluator they almost always say nice things. I wouldn't call it grade inflation, but there are usually some very nice things said on military evals, and so those are just where we can pull a quote. It all depends on the person. Again, it's an art and a science, But it doesn't take David or me very long to put one of these together. And it was invented by a recruiter, you know, to make the hiring process shorter because he didn't want to take more phone calls from the guy. So it's literally necessity was the mother of invention here, and it's worked out pretty well for people. So, want me to do cover letter?
Absolutely.
So we want to do another one. We promise you some cover letter help. This is the cover letter portion. If you do these 3 things, walk out of here tonight, your cover letter will improve about 100%. So my background is in copywriting. I still have a business where I do it. Copywriting is selling on paper. I'm not a professional speaker. I'll never be confused with one. David's the speaker, but I'm the writer. And so I sell on paper, and I've been paid good sums of money for advertisements and sales letters.
He's a guy that, you know the junk mail you get?
I don't write
junk
that.
mail you get
No
it
one
at
throws
home?
my stuff out.
You buy stuff? That's his.
When I first started my business in 1996, I had this light bulb moment. I thought, well, cover letters are boring. And if anyone ever read a cover letter to hire, I mean, you've helped hire, it's like the stuff that was too boring for the IRS tax code. Let's put it in this cover letter. You know, it couldn't make the tax code. It's so deadly dull. Well, I decided, you know, it's really a sales letter. You're trying to sell the employer on hiring you. Why not take from the best ideas that have been used in direct mail for 100 years? And so that's where we've had some very good success. He thought along parallel lines. But the very first thing you must do in a cover letter is get attention. Now, maybe you've been told that you need to get a name, but how many folks truthfully have ever sent out a cover letter that began, "Dear Sir or Madam"? Be truthful. Or "To whom it may concern," the note in the bottle method. To whom
Killing
it may
trees.
Concern. Yeah. So, David, let's go off the board for 100 here. Give us the Reader's Digest to see. I always like to ambush them. You've been told to get a name, what? You call the employer, right? And the best time to call is during lunch hour, when the regular receptionist is pulled off and they've pulled in the new intern or someone who's 24 and just does not want to be there. It's like tech support at Microsoft. Their first goal is to get you the hell off the phone. So if you call into an employer at noon, it's not the real receptionist. It's usually a stand-in. So you simply ask, I'm writing a letter to the head of your department, IT, marketing, customer service. I'm writing a letter to the head of your blank department. Could I have the correct spelling of that person's name, please? That's the magic script that'll get you the name of the hiring manager. You never say, I'm applying for a job. Who's the hiring manager? They'll say, click, and you're transferred to HR, or you get voicemail. But if you just ask, I'm writing a letter, you don't have to confess that it's a cover letter, to the head of the blank department, could I have the correct spelling of that person's name? Now that's my method, because see, people confuse us. They think I'm the mild-mannered Canadian and he's the pushy American. But David's got this great method.
See, he's too nice.
We call it the break glass
His
method.
takes like 3 minutes. I got 5 seconds to do this, okay? Because I got a whole list of things I got to get through.
Do the one where it's accounts receivable.
Yeah, so like...
So if the first method doesn't work,
anybody
try
from
it,
accounts receivable in the audience?
Any accounts?
Okay, I can do this. All right, so you need someone's name, and you've gone to the reception, you've gone to the website, you've gone to LinkedIn, and you're out of luck. And you need the name of that VP or that director because you want to send them a letter. Who do you call? Accounts payable. Why? Because they're the most unloved people in the entire building, right? When they get a call, it's because someone didn't get paid. So if you call accounts payable, and they answer, you go, where am I? Oh, accounts payable. No, don't hang up. I'm not going to yell at you. Listen, I've been bounced all over the building on the phone. Let me ask you a question. Could you please tell me who's responsible for, or who's the vice president of, and they'll tell you. You know why? Because you're their latest best friend, because you didn't yell at them. Try that this week. It's amazing how quick that works.
Yeah, and we're going to tell you a lot of unconventional stuff like this, and your first reaction is, what? But our mantra is, when in doubt, test it out. We used to have audiences repeat this after me, but I trust your intelligence. I'll say it one more time. When in doubt, test it out. Call a company you have you know what, practice, well, I won't say. Call a company you don't want to work for and just practice on them.
Yeah, that worked for Jeff.
We used to say call the nearest pig farm. Or
and now we're getting hate mail from the pig farmers.
I say sausage factory, but people were actually calling them and it'd get back to us.
You see, you guys got it so lucky. I mean, 25 years I've been in this business. Google's only been around, despite what all we think. Google's been around like, what, 8, 9 years? So as a recruiter, if I needed the hiring manager's name, I couldn't go to Google. I couldn't go to LinkedIn. They didn't exist until 6 years ago. There was no directories. Forget it. So you had to do something besides, and usually the lunchtime reception didn't work because by the time I got to do it, they all knew my name or my voice at least. So that's where I went, accounts receivable. All the time, Works any day of the week.
The other two things really quickly, a PS always gets read. Put one in your cover letter, and that is one sentence that will always get read. Because we're trained to look to the bottom of the letter to see who is this from. We look at the signature, and right below it is your PS. And you say, PS, call me today to learn how I saved $235,000 on Lockheed Martin's project in Q4 10. Huh? The ideal reaction to your PS is, huh? Or what? Or how'd you do that? That's how you know you've got a good one. Read it out loud to a friend and practice on them. We're real big on practicing on people. No people are ever harmed in the testing of, a guerrilla resume or guerrilla cover letter. So practice on people. So PS always gets read. And focus on the reader, the you method. This is something I learned very quickly writing copy, but let me illustrate for you. Most cover letters are written in the language of I, me, my. I would like a position where my experience can be rewarded with a challenging position where I, my, me, my. Yeah, it's more wah. Because, you all know this, you're all smart, the most beautiful word in any language is
David.
Your name, if you're him. Right? Kevin is the most beautiful word I know. The second most beautiful word is the word
You.
You. So you can only say David so many times in a letter. Every other opportunity, you should turn all the I's and the me's and the my's into you. Start your sentences completely, turn them around, and just go through with a pen and X out all the I's and the me's and the my's, and try to start all of your sentences with you. You will benefit from my 10 years of experience, which will grow profits for your team. You can make this change in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. You can rewrite your whole cover letter in 10 minutes, and it's infinitely better. It's an old copywriting trick. It's not in any cover letter book that I've ever seen. Did we even include it in the new guerrilla marketing book, or did the editor X that out? I wrote some of the stuff on resumes.
Don't know yet.
I'm just a contributing author. I'm just a galley slave.
And the reason you do this and it works so well is it's self-interest, right? And employers hire people not because they got up and went, oh man, look at all the money in my budget. Okay, the government does, but anybody else, look at all the money in my budget, I've got to spend it. They hire people because they got to solve a problem, and by solving that problem, it makes them look better or gets them ahead or does something for the company. So you have to always promote what's in their best interest and put it forward. Sometimes it seems actually kind of awkward to write the letters. They work like magic.
So Mike, before we go any further, we have about how many minutes till intermission? We know that you're going to have needs.
One more time, I'm sorry.
About 20 minutes till intermission, would you say? I'm having a hard time reading the clock back
I'd
there.
say maybe what we're talking about, folks, is just taking a short break. Would that be okay? About 10 minutes?
No,
10, 15
not right
minutes?
now, but I'm saying in about 20 minutes
Yeah,
we'll get
yeah.
there. So if you
Okay.
can hold your
Gotcha.
seats.
We'll let you know, Mike.
Yeah, you'll know it when you see it. So quickly, mak shao. Build your online profiles. Number 3 is this. This is the step where Mike started getting so much traction. He hasn't had to go beyond step 3, really. We're going to give you an overview, and then we're going to go into some detail on LinkedIn. But here are the 4 places you've got to be. A website called zoominfo.com.
Show of hands, how many know Zoom Info?
Good.
Oh my God.
You all know now.
Zoominfo.com. You've just got like 15 times the value that you spent tonight. Why? Because Zoom Info is where every major recruiter, actually every major recruiter in the world starts. Zoom Info is the largest database of business professionals and professionals in America, bar none. When I start a search, I go to Zoom Info, and I say to the interface, I say, I need a lawyer with an MBA in Boston who went to Stanford, who's got blonde hair, and he's left-handed. Enter. And do you know what I get? I get the list. I get the list, name, phone number, email address. So, some of you are in Zoom Info and you don't know it. The rest of you better be in it tomorrow. Because when I start a search, if I'm going to call 100 people, because that's typically what I'm going to call to start a search. If I'm going to call 100 people, who am I going to call? The people that I know are qualified. I go to Zoom Info, I pull up the list, I call all those people. If I don't find someone I'm interested in, I go to the next 100. Guess what? I very rarely ever go to the next 100. So Zoom Info is where all recruiters go first, then they go to LinkedIn. And then if they still can't find you, they go to Facebook. Facebook is now so important, it's unbelievable. And Twitter.
Yeah.
So if you're not on any of these things, you're in trouble. If you want to go on these things and be part of this, they're all free. You start with Zoom Info. That takes you a minute and a half. And then you're searchable by 157,932 headhunters in America who bill $187 billion a year. Do the math. It's huge. LinkedIn's free, Facebook is free, and Twitter's free.